It's better.
Kevin does have an official green screen.
And Justin needs to get a little closer so we can see her.
Yeah, as long as you are enough of a different color from your background, it should work.
Yeah.
Or colorful.
Yes, but some of us have 1.5 ears when we use the virtual background.
Yeah, I understand. I kept losing my shoulder the other day.
Yeah, and also it's another technology that discriminates against men of baldness.
Darren, we have all kinds of reasons to discriminate.
Wait, what about women of baldness?
Yeah.
People of baldness.
Yeah.
All kinds.
All discrimination.
All baldness matters.
I can't believe we started.
Okay, Rosalind, I need you to smack Michael in the shoulder, please.
Why?
Harder.
I trolled you guys. I trolled you guys so hard right
out there
there.
that I abuse you.
Well, now we have it on video.
Yeah, I'm recording, so this is all evidence.
Oh, you are? Hi, are we live?
We need to start live. We're a little late, but what else is distracting?
Who cares? Now we're going
We
live.
had to clear the room.
Right. Everybody clear the room.
Were we able to get Tegan to come? Did someone shoot her the link?
I don't know.
Does she need to be here?
Well,
Lord.
she's not here,
Oh.
man.
I don't know.
Oh, Felicity.
That would went to the invalid link.
I have various statuses.
Oh, I think we're live.
We are.
We are now officially live.
Yay!
Hello,
I want to
everybody.
that I'm Memorex. It's German.
Why? Why, Gary? That's a terrible.
Yes.
Come on.
Hey, look, it's a classic track. It's a
Is
classic
it?
commercial.
Is it?
It's a very classic commercial, at least by age.
Correct. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Virtual Dragon Con. We are a day in arrears of Dragon Con starting at some point virtually. Our first panel on the main programming track, no joke, is at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Bethany. So
No, it is not.
What panel is that?
it's the He-Man She-Ra panel that we already recorded.
Oh, okay, good. I don't have to get up. Good.
I was
Okay.
gonna say I'm not on this panel, Joe.
See, you
No, but
don't have to
Bethany-
unlock the room.
Bethany will have to be on it, though.
No.
Only people watching that are the people still awake.
Lola, is that a bucket of rum?
How did that happen? Where did you get the... I'm
went up to
outraged.
Atlanta.
I'm furious.
And the Faulkners have pie.
Right.
Yes. Oh, I got pie. I got pie right here. This is
Oh,
the first pie I've ever had outside of Atlanta.
Wow.
How did
Congratulations,
you just-
Kevin.
has it been marinating for a year, Kevin?
For 8 years.
That is
No,
the best.
it's
Wow.
been marinating
8
for-
years?
This is
That's
about like
gonna
a,
be done.
this is like 2 days old. But this was I followed the recipe of a friend of the Classics Track, Darren. He hooked me up with his legendary, dangerous, scary pie recipe. And we've never made it up here in Massachusetts before, but you know, desperate times. So here we are.
I'm not even trying it yet. I'm not ready for it till tomorrow.
Understood.
Mike made me a strawberry one.
Yep, strawberry lemonade.
Ooh.
I am having
This.
regular.
There are many reasons why I miss seeing you people, but that's one of them.
Because we're alcoholics.
Only at Dragon Con. Only at
I have
Dragon
spent so
Con.
much time today thinking about how I would, at this point in the time, I would be seeing each of you at different points during the day, and it just, it breaks my heart.
Dude, I had my breakdown and cry moment when I realized that the parking reservation service that we use to reserve our parking spots sent me an email going, "Happy Pandaversary!"
Oh,
I got that, Bethany.
I'm
I got that too.
And I was like, I was doing okay. I held it together right up until I got that email, and then I was like, nope, tears.
Wow.
Damn.
Of all things,
It is nice that we have that parking spot sitting there in the empty downtown Atlanta.
I texted Michael and Gary this morning, and I said, we should be at Waffle House.
Yes.
Yes.
I was thinking about that. It's like earlier today, I was thinking, okay, I should be picking up Sue from the airport at this time.
Mhm.
I should be parking in the parking deck at this time.
That would have been yesterday.
It hit hard yesterday when I put the work laptop away and I was like, oh, good, I'm on vacation and oh, crap. I should be
Yeah.
going downtown.
Yeah, you
Should have
poor
been
bugger. You only have me.
with the purple.
You see her every day, Michael.
She is glorious. She is the amazing shining queen of all of the things. So
That's why I love
I
you.
also have been thinking about Rosalind a lot because I've been going to the Targets hunting toys and I've seen these make your own R2s. And every time I think of R2, I think of Rosalind.
Aw.
Aw.
See,
I think that was a country song.
I want to see Rosalind like walking around behind Michael, rearranging the chairs.
Seriously.
I'm not gonna miss that. Sorry.
cleaning up after Darren as he leaves everything everywhere.
Not yet. Well, how about anonymous personnel in our audience who just leave their things when the thing is up. Now, I'm not talking to anyone watching this video, of course. Certainly,
They would never do
you
that.
guys pick up all of your garbage.
I certainly don't treat the track room like my own personal storage locker.
I
No, no, storage lockers are fine. We
I
have
never
a,
do that.
It's
we
trash
have a
can.
table with
I
a
do all kinds
cover
of
where
stuff.
we jam boxes and backpacks under there. Now all we have is our own homes. I don't care for it.
I will say the one
The
thing
purple one.
got a purple one.
the one thing that is kind of great about this con as opposed to other Dragon cons is I'm eating way better at this con than I normally do at Dragon Con.
I actually
Yeah.
deliberately picked up some junk food
I
today
got a purple BBA.
so I can feel a little bit closer to.
Like I mean I had the junk food and stuff because work is crazy. And me going out of work for 2 days and they're just like, oh my god, I'm like, yeah, I know, we got to get all this stuff. I got it, we got it, guys, we got it.
Oh,
But
So let's do this.
Joe,
Uh,
I just thought of something.
Uh-oh.
You introduce people.
We can do that. You know, like it's an actual panel. Sure, we could do that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 5 minutes after we went live, 8 minutes after we went live. Welcome to the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. We have gotten so many new members on our Facebook group. You people are making the correct choice because we are the coolest. I think we can all agree, right? We're the coolest. And so what we're going to do tonight is tell stories about us at Dragon Con. And if you want to chime in, we'll also let you tell stories. And this is just our Thursday night kickoff to the weekend of Dragon Con. All of these fine people that you see, my hand is doing this, but it's not, it's
These are not the droids you're looking
those
for.
people and those people and diagonally all of those people are people you would and have seen in live action on the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. So everybody go around, please, and introduce yourselves. Starting to my left, right there.
You're on the
Oh, how
left.
are you? Nope.
We're on Zoom, so it's different for everybody.
Yeah, everybody has a different arrangement, so
Oh
we
my
have no
gosh.
idea. Yeah,
Yeah. So
It's
you might
chaos.
want to.
it's chaos.
Let's go in alphabetical order.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
alphabetical. Darren, go.
I haven't had enough pie to go in alphabetical.
What Bethany's
Wait,
been.
are we going
Bethany's first.
alphabetical by first name or last name?
Yes.
Let's go alphabetical by first name.
Alphabetical
Then
by
Bethany.
height.
Which
then
alphabet?
I would go
Usernames,
first.
I'm Shirley and Mark.
So do that. Bethany, you go first.
Hi everyone, I'm Bethany Kessler. You've probably seen me on this track before for different quarantine panels or live and in person at Dragon Con. I'm the very tiny, mostly bald person who moves very, very fast. So, yeah, I'm like, yeah, this is me. You see that small white blur going through like the hotels when we're there at Dragon Con? Yeah, that's me. I kick around the internet as Dorothy Joan Gray. That's my pen name. But other than that, I'm happy to be here with all of these wonderful, wonderful people. And, you know, just, you know, tribe. Love y'all.
Nice. Next up, alphabetically by first name, Mr. Darren Bush.
Hello, everyone out there in DragonCon virtual land, in your homes and other sundry places. I'm Daryn Bush. I'm a sci-fi and fantasy author. I'm also a semi-regular panelist here on the Classic Track. I also help create panels and run panels for local Atlanta conventions like Monsterama and Conjuration, which are coming up after DragonCon this year. And that's me.
And let's see, I believe next alphabetically would be Miss Felicity. How are you?
Hi, I'm Felicity Kuznets. I've probably done a panel here or there, but most often you can probably see me in the front row when Kevin is on the panel, taking pictures and trying not to be too obnoxious. And I help him out with his podcast, which I'll let him talk a little bit more about. So yeah, I'm just a general geek. Doctor Who is my kind of primary fandom, but I like fantasy and science fiction in general, and just trying to stay sane, not binge too many crazy shows at once, and good to be hanging out with people online because that's all that we really get to do these days.
Correct. On the Fan Track main programming, you will see Felicity first amongst all of our Classic Track panelists, because one of the Classic Track panels that is on main programming features Felicity, and it is tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
Yes, but unfortunately, I did not have to get up that early.
No, I'm on it
That was
too,
fun.
and I also did not have to get up. So I'm very excited about that.
I'm on it, but I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. anyway.
Oh,
You're
It's
not
very
going to get up at
offensive.
5 a.m., Gary. Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Gary Mitchell is next.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gary Mitchell. I am the co-director with Joe of the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. And you can find me on the Twitter in my name here. You can find my Slip Discs article every Monday usually, but I'm on hiatus for DragonCon. And you can usually find me all over DragonCon, but especially this track. And sharing screen with me.
Very conveniently, alphabetically next.
Oh, seriously, yeah. I'm Jessica Phillips, most often probably with him. And yeah, no, I do all sorts of geekery and the like.
And she's not smaller than I am. I'm just sitting very forward.
Yeah.
She's not tiny.
Press your head.
Tiny, tiny, tiny. You can make me happy.
brushing her head.
Yeah, but I do all sorts of geekery, and you can see me all over the internet if you search for Good to Be a Geek.
Let's see. So, Jessa, I'm
You,
from
Joe.
Alabama, so I'm
Kevin.
trying to.
Kevin.
Okay, the alphabet. It's me. I'm next. I am the co-director of the American Sci-Fi Classics Track with Gary Mitchell, who just spake, and he and I and this plethora of amazing people get together every year, and at this point, and we do awesome things for what seems like about 15 minutes, but it's really 5 days, 5 to 7 days. I don't even know anymore. But you can find me at Yojo Crow on the things, and also you can find me right here on facebook.com/groups/American Sci-Fi Classics. If you're looking for me there, well, you found me. And let's see, we only have. Okay, all right. Well, there's Kevin. I believe
me.
he's next alphabetically.
I think I'm
Mr.
next.
Aldrich.
Hi, I'm Kevin. Yes, I am a podcaster. I do a show called The Flopcast, which is just silly and geeky and ridiculous, part of the ESO network. And man, this is the first year since, I think the last time I was not in Atlanta for Labor Day weekend was 2007.
Ooh.
So it's been a while, but I'm glad that we're still sort of doing this virtual thing. So I'll be hanging out here in the, I'm actually in the Sci-Fi Classics Track room. See that? I'm actually here. I'll be with all you Sci-Fi Classics Track people all weekend. Got a bunch of stuff coming up.
How's the crowd down there?
Surprisingly thin.
We've been on a diet.
If
you bought it?
people
We're blowing it.
have we confirmed? Because I bet people have come to the Marriott for this weekend to have
There were
nothing
people saying they
happen.
were going to. There were people
Someone
saying
posted
they
a
were going to.
picture on one of the Dragon Con things. They posted a picture. They're at the Marriott and like the escalators roped off. There's nothing
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Nor should there be. It's like go
Yeah.
home, go home,
You don't
everybody.
need the Marriott staff.
Go home.
You ain't gotta.
Go away.
What?
I mean,
Okay.
usually on Thursday they wouldn't even have the stanchions out, so I kind of feel like that's probably an old photo.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist.
I
I
mean,
think somebody's lying.
Maybe.
I don't know. They said they were there. I'll have to find it.
Oh, I'm sure they said they were there, but I don't believe them.
Only believe what we tell you. That is what you will learn at the American Sci-Fi Classics.
We also have some supplements to sell you after.
Yes.
Tell you all about that.
And some Hulk cologne,
Yes.
if that's your thing.
Oh, I'm not selling that. That's
Wait,
all
wait,
Give that
mine.
away for free.
They give that out for free.
Wait, the thing wears Hulk cologne?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, that would be the ultimate. That would the Hulk would hate that, wouldn't he?
See, no, it would be the Marvel version of the Martha moment. You smell like Hulk. I wear Hulk. We are friends.
Why you say that name?
Okay, Lola,
Lola.
you're next.
Okay, well, I don't know who this person is. I keep trying to get his name. He said he's related to Yoda, but he won't say if he's really Yoda. So, but I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying to get it out of him. But anyways, I'm Lola. And the funny thing is I have two last names. One is on my birth certificate and one isn't. And I'm a sci-fi author and podcaster. And I sci-fi author under my pen name, which is Lola Laracy, Laricy. And I usually only do stuff under that, but somehow I just started joining stuff using my own personal Facebook. So that's where the Lola Strickland comes from. That's my real name. Don't tell anybody. I don't want my fans to figure out where I live. Anyway.
Joe Crow is also my real name. Okay. Next
Nobody
up.
believes that, Joe.
Well, we jumped him, but he just got here.
Yeah.
Oh,
And he's standing above us.
Somewhat next alphabetically, ladies and gentlemen, Keith DeCandido.
Hello. Sorry, I'm late. I was doing a panel on the Urban Fantasy track about Supernatural.
Oh.
And it ran a little late, and then we were doing the Italian goodbye afterward.
oh, you're saying
For
we
those
have
of you who
to.
don't know, the Italian goodbye is where you end a particular gathering, and then you stand around and talk outside the front door for about 45 minutes to an hour. Just basically gabbing and bullshitting and carrying on like trash when you should have left 2 hours ago. So we were doing that. Anyway, hi, I'm Keith. I write books and stuff. I also write short stories and pop culture commentary and dirty limericks, whatever the hell they'll pay me for. And I do a lot of stuff on the American Sci-Fi Classics track because I'm not sure why, honestly.
Because we like
actually, because I've known Joe. God, I've known Joe for like 30 years now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Going back to the old Genie days when yes, when on the Comics Roundtable on Genie where we wrote fanfic together because we're ridiculous. And Joe had more hair then. I had less hair then. And
yeah, what happened?
You gave it away, obviously. I've written.
It's like a Dorian Gray thing.
Yeah. The portrait in my attic looks like total crap. But the most recent stuff I've done includes I did the Great Superhero Movie Rewatch for Tor.com, which is relevant because I'm doing at least 2 panels, maybe 3 panels this weekend that relate to that on this track, where I looked at every single live-action movie based on a superhero comic book. I have a couple novels out this year that are coming out soon, both collaborations. and some other stuff too, but I've already talked for too long, so I'll let somebody else go.
Well, and as someone pointed out when we did the novelizations reading panel, you've probably written a book while we were doing the panel. So.
Possibly, yes.
I think the count was he wrote 4 books during the panel.
Something like that. I write a lot.
Yes,
if you go to my
you do.
website at tekendo.net, you will, well, the first thing you'll do is say, wow, this website looks like crap. And the second thing you will do is find links to my bibliography and to my various online media presences and links to buy my books and stuff. I am in the process of finally bringing the blog into the 21st century. The website into the 21st century. I have actually hired somebody who is a professional who is going to make it better, faster, stronger.
Harder?
I wouldn't go that far.
And, okay, we've got 2 Michaels.
I think Bailey comes first in alphabetical.
In most alphabets.
I guess
That's
that's
right.
me. My name is Michael Bailey. I am a podcaster. I've been yakking on the internet since 2007 about comics. I talk about Superman. I talk about Batman. Trying to get more enthused here, but it's hot, so it does feel like I'm at Dragon Con, which is kind of nice. I'm getting that. I'm getting that now feeling. I put out a bunch of shows, sometimes twice a week, and I have been doing panels for Joe and Gary since 2014. But
something like that.
Yeah, because it was 2013 that I met you guys. And I was just like, I got to weasel my way. I mean, I got to convince them to put me on, and they took a chance on a kid, and it paid off. This is actually the first Dragon Con since 2000. I've been going from 2004 to 2019 straight. So this is hitting me kind of hard this year.
Yeah. The last one I missed was 2003.
Yeah, me too, which was unfortunate because they had some guests I would have liked to have met, but I was getting married that year, so.
Well, that's a good excuse.
That's a good excuse, yeah.
But yeah, I do all kinds of comic stories for these people.
Tell Rachel we love her.
Yeah, she's sitting with her dad right now, so yeah.
We'll tell her later.
Yeah, don't tell her now. Okay.
I can text her if you want. So.
Sure.
And next up, alphabetically by last name, Sue, we're going to get to you eventually.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just stitching away.
And next up, Michael Faulkner.
Me. That's me.
That is you.
That's me. Hi, I'm Michael Faulkner. You probably know me from such shows as the American Sci-Fi Classics Track, where I hang out a lot, and whatever else. No, I'm a writer. I'm a
Brockman.
Yeah, that too. Hey, no, I'm a writer and a podcaster from the Atlanta area. I'm very depressed that Dragon Con is not happening because I would be downtown right now. I do most of my work on my blog. It's Creative Criticality, where, among other things, I've been insane since 2014, actually watching Doctor Who from the very beginning of that franchise and writing about it weekly. And it's been really fun and really interesting. And I'm going to hit the 10th Doctor's finale around Christmas time. So that just, yeah.
So you're going to have an extremely, so are you going to have like an extremely long, like ending paragraph? Like you're not going to end the article. You're just going to keep going around to different people and saying goodbye.
I like it. I'm going to do that.
I think you should all totally do that. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I'm gonna break the alphabetical thing, Joe. I'm just gonna nod over here to my better half.
That's actually alphabetical.
It actually is.
Yeah.
Just like,
is it really?
Yes.
Okay.
Just like Gary and Jessa, you guys clearly planned your marriage appropriately alphabetically.
That's also why Felicity and I are on separate cameras because we didn't want to break up the alphabetical thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good planning.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we're committed.
And we're
that and the TRO, but we don't want to talk about that.
Right.
I thought we were going to be on separate cameras. She was like, why? I'm like, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Rosalind, and I'm married to this guy. That's my claim to fame.
And she is the best.
Pretty big.
The best.
And I will say, for the last 2 years, she has been me and Joe's strong right arm in running the track.
So I was gonna say I volunteer in the track in case you've seen me there. I pick up the
Yeah.
trash and move chairs.
And we're sorry about the trash.
And
You do much more than that.
other than that,
Yes.
people see me with one of these and I'm like following a newbie tour and directing people to things. And that's pretty much it.
You help with the schedule. You help with getting
You
food,
keep Gary and Joe on track. You know what kind of superhuman effort that requires?
Understatements of the year right here. I mean,
like you're Wonder Woman.
The thing
Brooklyn
about
is the
Darren
adult
Bush
in the
for
room.
is actually knitting that. He gets more comments on that than anything else. So there you go. That's me in a nutshell.
Okay.
So if she's the strong right arm, does that make me the really weak left leg?
We can't mention your organ in a family network.
Fair enough.
we were going to say anything.
It's already 9:30. Who cares?
I was gonna say
he's the cojones.
We haven't even started yet. All right.
Called worse.
Hi, Keith.
And okay. Next up, I believe, is Mr. Sherman Burris. How are you, sir?
I am doing okay. I am a lifelong fan of science fiction, in fact, and I've only done audience for Dragon Con up until this year, so hopefully next year I can actually be on some panels at Dragon Con too, so we'll see.
Technically, you're on one now.
We'll just go up there and sit.
Well, yeah, but I mean in person.
Panels in person. What a
Why? Are you not a person?
You
look like a person.
I'll warn you, be careful. If you actually get up on that panel, Gary will point at you and say, now you're moderating. That's how it works.
True fact.
Yes.
Let's see. There's me, Gary. There's a couple of there's multiple. I think there's like a total of 14 people here. Me and Gary have recruited, and you've all said at various times, "Hey, I think I'd like to do a thing," and me and Gary both go, "Okay, you'll do 11 things."
See, I still haven't totally recovered from my first year doing panels from you guys, where it was like the 1 year where I was just like really stressed, didn't have enough time to do the prep that I like to do. So I think around like somewhere Saturday, I think it was like Saturday afternoon sometime, I said, Joe, I'm like, look, Joe, I'm so sorry. I've just like, I feel bad. I haven't been able to prepare the way I really wanted to, and I've been winging it this whole time. I'm so sorry. And Joe just straight up looks at me and goes, and he just kind of blinks and goes, this has been you winging it this entire time? He's like, shit, I'm putting you on every panel next year. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, God, no.
There was the one who had like this huge binder when we did our first Westworld panel together.
Oh yeah, that binder's coming back. That binder's just gotten bigger.
Oh wow.
And finally, and then we'll actually get to somewhat of a thing that we were thinking of. Okay, anyway, we're just winging it. I don't care. Now, lastly, right there, Sue, how are you?
Hi, I'm laughing. This is great already. And Bethany is taking a photograph of her computer screen.
Yes, I am.
I blog and podcast for Women at Warp, a feminist Star Trek podcast on the Roddenberry Podcast Network. But I am not doing anything for Trek Track this weekend. I'm doing lots of stuff for Classics and Brit Track, Apocalypse Rising. I've got, I think, 10 different events over the weekend. So if you're watching fan programming, you will probably see me there. And my very first year on the Classics Track as a panelist, I had stopped by the track room in the morning to like just introduce myself because I hadn't met Joe or Gary yet. Joe wasn't there yet, but Gary, we chatted for a little bit, and then the first panel of the day was starting, and I guess there were like 2 panelists didn't show up for the first panel of the day on Friday, and Gary goes, "Get up there." Literally had just met, not supposed to be on the panel, and I'm on the panel.
What was the panel on?
I don't remember.
I think it was.
We're talking like 7 or 8 years ago, man. But,
I will say this, Joe.
I am also the one who is the infamous on the spot moderator.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember. Tell the tale.
back in 2016 on that Sunday, I think there was 2 panels the entire day that I wasn't on. I was in that room like all day long. So I was finally sitting down. It was the last panel of the night. It was the heavy metal panel. And Gary's like, come on up. I'm like, no. He's like, no, seriously, come on up. I go, Gary, I have nothing to add to this panel. I've been doing this all day. Yeah, that's great. Come on up.
he does that. Gary is known for just grabbing people out of the eyes, say, get up here, you can talk about this. And I looked at him one time the same fashion, like, Gary, I've never seen this show. I have no idea what it's about. You don't want me up there.
I do not speak English anymore, and I don't even think I'm from this planet.
So 1 year.
This is it. I don't do panels in life.
Yeah.
So one year. I forget exactly which year it was because it's a blur, but Gary put me on a panel and I emailed him, messaged him, whatever. I said, Gary, you don't want me on this panel. I hate that movie. I hate it. And he goes, oh, that'll be cool. You're on the panel still.
Yeah, well, this comes back to Joe and I have been doing this since 2012. And our first year, I remember, we were just taking over. We didn't know what we were doing. We still don't know what we're doing.
No, you don't.
We also didn't have the crew we have now. And so I will throw people on panels like crazy because one of my first strong running the track panels it was a Sunday afternoon panel that was supposed to be me and 4 other people talking about different holiday themed horror movies. And nobody showed up except me.
And you had to, it was your track.
At a group of about 25 people going, oh crap. Because I can talk and I can talk about horror movies, but I feel like I work better bouncing off people. And Joe and I have had that happen a few times where we'll schedule people and half of them didn't show up. And you'll notice they don't come to we don't invite them to panels anymore, but all of you keep showing up. So
all of you.
Anytime you're in the room. Anytime
you have shown up a lot.
But when I first started paneling 7 or 8 years ago, that happened a lot, and not just on the classics track. Like, it happened all over DragonCon, where people just wouldn't show up to panels they were scheduled on, both attending professionals and just regular attendees, fan panelists. And I've noticed over the past couple of years that's really stopped. So, I mean, all over the place, either people have gotten more responsible or track directors have been cracking down and maybe spreading words. And I say, good for that.
Yeah, I do not understand why anybody would not. I mean, there have been a couple of times where I've had to back out of a panel, but then I told somebody. I said, look, I like there was 1 year, more than 1 year at DragonCon where I was literally programmed for 6 straight hours or 6 straight panel slots.
Yeah.
Because and I was like, and I went to, and it was one in the middle of that. It might have even been a classics track one. I don't remember, but where I just said, look, I don't know that much about this topic, and I need to take a nap or something in there. Please, for the love of God, let me not do this panel. And then it was fine. But you don't just not show up. That's
I don't get that either.
Unprofessional. And yeah, I'm sure, especially, now it's very easy for the track directors to say, we're not going to use this person anymore. And that will get back to the people who approve the guests too, Because, I mean, there's no reason to give somebody panelist status if they're not going to actually freaking do panels.
Right.
The last time this happened with the panel I was on was actually last year. And it was the first time in several years that it happened, but it was a diversity panel, like literally titled Diversity in Blank. I'm not going to give you the track name. But the 3 people of color who were scheduled to be on that panel did not show up.
Would be so
It was 3 white people. I mean, at least we were all queer, so there were no straight white people. But there were definitely cis white people. So it was 3 white people on a diversity in panel, and the whole time I was like, can we address that they didn't show up? Is it bad to address that they didn't show up? It was not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunate, let's say, and definitely a no-win situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's I mean, heck, I think that's how I actually got as many panels as I did for the first couple of years, because I have a horrible fear of showing up late. thank you, military background. So I was just like, oh, yeah, you know, and with American science fiction and fantasy media, Kellen was like, you're here on time, you're here. And so there were a bunch of panels where she was just like, so you're on this panel, right? I'm like, you didn't schedule me for this panel. She's like, no, you're on this panel, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, let me just go put my bag up there. What are we talking about?
The only reason that me and Gary do not do panels as often for Kellen on American SF and fantasy media is because we have our own track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise, we would be on 12 of hers, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and everybody, you can all thank Kellen for Joe and I being in charge, because the guy who ran the track before us, you know, told us in 2011, he's like, look, this is my last one. I've got to step down. You know, all kinds of things are going on. So Joe and I just kind of looked at each other and went and tracked down Kellen and went, do you think we could do this? And her first piece of advice was run.
Well, yeah.
And I'm sure that was also her second and third pieces of advice.
Yes. I want to give you guys props though, like not to speak ill of your predecessor, because he did a great job with doing classic sci-fi. He kept things going, but you guys have really done an amazing job of breathing new life into this track. There weren't a lot of people who were going to the track in those years. It was kind of dying off. And the first year that you guys started doing stuff and you brought everything kind of forward from the 50s and 60s into the 80s and 90s, you guys started having people lining up wanting to be on this track again. You know, you guys have made this track, even now, like this virtual Dragon Con thing, you guys were groundbreaking in making this happen.
Yeah.
So you guys are amazing. You have done amazing work for this track, and I applaud you for that.
Yeah, and they've been doing virtual panels throughout the whole quarantine every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To piggyback onto waxing Gary and Joe's car for a little bit. 2013, I had one of my lowest Dragon Cons. It was the year my wife, who would be here, but she's taking care of something else. If Rosalind is the strong right arm, Rachel's the gimpy left arm. And she would no, she would say that. I can say that for.
And I would argue with her.
Yeah, you would argue with her. But yeah, but I'm just saying.
Argue with her.
That's what Rachel would say. But Rachel had been in a car accident that year on April 1st. Everyone thought I was joking. I wanted to punch every single one of them. And I remember sitting in the hotel room, just watching TV, going, there is nothing here I want to do this year. I mean, I had some friends that I was hanging out with, but all of that was like in the evening. And so I noticed that some of the panels were things that I actually wanted to go and see. And I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, I had in like 2005 and 2006 started kind of doing panels for the comics track, but that director was let go in 2006. So like all of this hard work just went away. And so I was just like, well, maybe I can hop on and do something else. So I just, I am not a fortune favors the bold type of guy, but I just walked up to, I don't know if it was Joe or Gary. I was just like, hey.
They're interchangeable.
I was just like, how do you get on one of these? And you go, and it was basically like, you just show up. And they put me on like 4 panels the next year. And I was shocked because I was expecting like 1. And then they started putting me on more, and that's when what we all learned, the devil's bargain. The contract fully comes out. But no, it gave me a home at Dragon Con that I did not have before, and because I was working on this track, I was able to kind of go other tracks, especially the comics one, started pulling me, and that's led to me doing presentations over there too. So you guys are really the only reason I like coming to Dragon Con
anymore. Aw, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this track, you could do a panel like the classics track covers, let's say, Back to the Future. So, okay, we're going to do a Back to the Future panel. But everything that happens on this track, we're not just going to do a panel. It's what can we do to make this fun? What twist can we put on this? How can we get the audience involved? The stuff that happens on this track is special. And that's why people that find this track, if you can find your way down that weird little hallway off to the side when you get out of the habit trail, if you find that room, you're in. These
Hey,
are
at
your,
least the room is rectangular now.
Yeah,
yes,
I was
it's
about
a
to say
proper
it's not
shaped room. And these once you find us, these are your people, you know. And I mean, I've been working with this track since 2013, and the first time that you guys put me on a panel, that was what led to the legendary Monkeys versus Minions.
That is one of my all-time favorite panels, and I'm so glad that was recorded. I will still go back and listen.
I feel like we got to get that on. We got to do a video version of that, but there's no. We still have all the panelists that were on it still do stuff for us.
Sure.
Get someone to animate it like an old Doctor Who episode that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
That's right. We have the audio.
I was just going to say that is so true, Kevin. I think that's one of the things that Sci-Fi Classics Track does best. It's like the epitome of shared fandom.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is about being interactive and sharing our fandom with whoever comes to the panel. It's always sort of an open forum for everybody to just.
And I've noticed that the audience, because of that, is much more positive. We did a couple years ago. We did a Lois and Clark track, and Lois and Clark, especially in those later seasons, is rough. And I was expecting, like, you know, there to be just 2 or 3 people, and it wasn't. It was a packed room. It was the last day of con, and I asked the question. I was like, okay, what is it? Because the audience participation is key to everything in the Sci-Fi Classics track. And I was like, okay, everybody, what's your favorite stuff? And people were thrown out. I go, okay, what don't you like about it? And it was crickets. And it just hit me. It was like in that moment, I was just like, okay, I could list off 5 things right now that I hated about season 4, but I'm not going to, because this audience doesn't want to hear that. And it's the positivity. It's not toxic positivity. It's not, you have to be nice. And if you say something negative, because there's critical analysis, but there's no mean-spiritedness to anything that's done on this track.
Well, one of Joe and I's guiding principles, we have a few, winging it being the main one.
Really?
We have principles?
I'm shocked.
One of the main ones is there are no guilty pleasures, just pleasures.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, love what you love and damn the torpedoes.
Guilty pleasure is one of my least favorite phrases in the English language. If it brings you pleasure and nobody is actually getting hurt by you taking pleasure from it, you have absolutely nothing to feel fucking guilty about.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Like, I mean, yeah.
Sue's mute for some reason. Sue, we can't hear
Sue,
you.
we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Sue.
We still can't hear you.
We still can't hear you.
I don't read lips.
Okay, try semaphore.
No.
You say try semaphore?
Yes.
Wuthering Heights in
Is this better?
Yes.
better.
I did not change anything, and it changed by itself. That's cool. I think one of the great things about Dragon Con is that there's so much going on that, like, there's no reason to go to something to hate on it.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's 40 other options. There are 45 fan tracks. Find something you like and go to that. Don't waste your energy like yucking somebody else's yum, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing that you guys have done on the classics track that is that I'm really grateful for is that you've allowed your longtime panelists, people like us, to put on panels that don't fit anywhere else. Like a couple years ago, you let us have a Broadway musicals panel.
Oh, that was the best thing ever.
It was a ton of fun.
Is that a subject you know about, Sue?
A little bit. might involve my career, but other track directors, even like friends of ours, were like, I don't know if Dragon Con's the right place for that. That room was standing room only.
Of course it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like,
we've done 3 Broadway-based panels now, and every time fills the room. I'm still pushing for that track, and I still keep getting pushback. But you know, if you want to see Broadway programming at Dragon Con, let the overlords know, and I'm working on it.
theater in general, we're working on it.
Theater in general.
And
But I mean, it's not
Theater
Anything,
kids and geeks are kind of.
Any off the wall idea we can just throw at you, and you guys are like, yeah, we'll find a place for that.
Well, what's in sci-fi?
Guys, you guys are. Sorry, go ahead.
I was about to say, you also, I think, have pushed other tracks to do stuff, because for a couple years there, the Monday morning 8:30 track was the only one really talking about geeky superhero stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly I don't know if like the comics track looked over and went, wait, are they doing it? Okay. Because we did my strongest memory of con will always be 8:30 on Sunday morning. Sunday morning, okay? Everyone's been drinking heavily since Friday afternoon. And
no one has slept since then.
No one has slept since then. And it was a Batman panel. And I got my coffee and I was showing up early. It was like, da, 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 da. And there was literally a line. I have pictures of this snaking around out into the main area. And my first thought was, wow. And my second thought was, I think this Batman guy's popular. He might be going. But I think you guys push other tracks to do what they're supposed to be doing by just showing, like, hey, people will come to this. People showing up at 8:30 on Monday morning for anything is a shock.
Well,
and you know what?
We're the first track to do Thursday night programming because Joe saw it was open in the schedule and put stuff there. Right, Joe?
Yeah, the programming gizmo that all the track directors use, where you schedule everything and add guests and panelists and such. Once it opened up, to my memory, they accidentally put Thursday in there with Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I thought, ooh, there's an open spot. And I believe we did a Ghostbusters panel and a Flash Gordon panel. And filled the room up.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing else going on.
Yeah,
exactly.
People are hungry for programming. They come to Dragon Con specifically for that, because it's not, now I say this as somebody that hasn't done a lot of other conventions, but yes, there are panels at Dragon Con that you have to queue up really early for. But there's no Hall H for Dragon Con. So people know that they can just kind of walk into a room and just watch a bunch of people who are like them. And that's the other thing is outside of maybe having stuff that y'all write and stuff on the desk, like, hey, you can buy these. You're not there to sell something. You're just there because there is almost zero barrier between the person on the stage and the person sitting in the audience.
I'm totally there to sell stuff.
I admit that this is a very privileged sentence that I'm about to say, but I do go to a lot of conventions, like by nature of where I live and the fan groups I participate in. Like, I've been to 30 cons in a year, right? It's terrible. I never sleep.
Sleep is for
a
wimps.
nice break. But the thing is, when for people that do go to a lot of conventions, not even necessarily 30, but they see the actors they like all the time, at a certain point, they're not saying anything new to you, right? So if you go and see the same actor for the same show that's no longer on the air for the 15th time, it's not going to be any different. And what you really want is to talk about the show. And that's what's happening on the fan tracks. What's happening in the guest panels, for the most part, is, what's your favorite episode? Please tell us a story you've told us 15 times. Like,
Well, one thing that this.
Go ahead, Darren.
Yeah.
So one thing that you guys embrace wholeheartedly, whether it's conscious or not is irrelevant, is the idea of the separation of the panelists from the audience and the fact that we're all sharing this thing that we're calling fandom. I have been amazed by some very specific examples where there was a panel that I just threw out there and about real carnivorous plants. And the attendance of that panel was ridiculous. I figured 4 or 5 people, we got 30, 40 people. It's just crazy how many people were like, carnivorous plants, that's exciting, right? Little Shop Horrors started that. The other thing, the other example I can think of, which you wouldn't normally think of as a fandom discussion, but turned into one, was math and how math is used correctly and incorrectly in science fiction.
Yep.
And
Sunday
there's
or
a
Monday.
whole bunch of math nerds right
Yeah.
here on the screen in front of me that I didn't know about until we started talking about bad math in science fiction.
Yeah.
And Jeff
Well,
Goldblum.
Wait, is there ever good math in science fiction? Is that allowed?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is.
Surprisingly.
Absolutely.
I'm kidding.
You can find out this weekend.
We
Well,
have a
it's
panel
like,
for that, Keith.
Of course you do.
well, it's like the other thing that I think really sets you guys apart from a lot of the other tracks is that you're also like you've also done a lot of like queer programming, like explicitly queer programming, which is really nice because sometimes you really have to try and like hunt and find some of that programming, and or you literally trip on it by accident. But you've always made that like really explicitly clear, and that's always been really, really awesome. And those panels are like wall to wall, people standing out in the hallway listening in. And I mean, and it's been, I mean, you're also the people who, when I randomly happened to see a tweet from one of my favorite podcast people who said, "Hey, I'm going to DragonCon, where's the queer programming?" And I just tweeted, and I literally, because this is like the middle of the night, I randomly woke up, rolled over, checked the time, saw a tweet, and went, "Oh, hey, ask Gary and Joe." And this is how we got Cecil Baldwin from Welcome to Night Vale on a panel for the Classics Track.
Yeah, and progressive programming too, feminist programming. There was a couple years ago now. It's gotten better the last couple of years, but a couple of years ago now, I remember searching in the app for keywords, you know, because you can do that, search the programming, and I typed in the word feminist in the keyword search, and one panel came up, and it was my panel on Track for my feminist podcast, and I was like, well, that's not great.
Yeah.
I want to say I'm very proud of the fact that I came to Joe with that of like, I want to do a panel about women, you know, truly outrageous, and I wanted to do the queer programming. And Joe was like, yes. And I'm very happy about how well that's gone over and how well attended they are and the panel people that we've gotten.
And they're staples now.
I always wanted, and Gary was the same way, we always wanted the Classic Track to be like a big tent. I want as many different kinds of people and varieties of fan, and I want to pull people in, not push people out.
Yeah.
You guys do a good job about that, even with panelists. Like, you always try to get as inclusive a panelist group as you can for that time slot. Obviously, it's not always possible, but whether it's,
which again is where it comes to the volunteers. If you are, you know,
if you want to do this,
if you want to see more representation and you're in a minority group, talk to us. We would love to have you. And this is what it comes down to. I've seen, like Sue was saying, is like you see so many diversity panels or queer panels where it's the same 5 white guys, and it's boring.
It's funny you mentioned
and inaccurate.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, Gary, because a couple years ago we had a George Perez panel, and
I led in my life.
somebody dropped out, and it was a woman, and it would have been, if we didn't pull a friend of mine in, it would have been me, Kevin, George Perez, and Jessa. And it's just like, I'm like, there's no, and at no point did anybody say, okay, we're just going to leave that. In fact, everybody, I think, at the same time said, no, this can't be 3 dudes and 1 woman about Wonder Woman. We can't do that. So
that was me who dropped out because I got scheduled up against you.
And but my friend E jumped in because she's a huge Wonder Woman fan. But the thing is that there was nobody there that was going to let that stand. And that's another thing where I love this group, because I feel like if a fight ever broke out, it would be one of the most organized group of people fighting as a force together or trying to do the right thing. Keith would be our sensei, obviously. But
Breslin and I will make the spreadsheets.
Yeah, but I'm serious. It's like, we're living in more, or trying to live in a more inclusive times, and I think people are waking up to things we should have woken up to 40 years ago. And it seemed like the American Sci-Fi Classics track was the first track to do that. And when you guys started doing that, it started percolating into other areas of the con. And it's just like, why didn't this occur to anybody before? And it's because we're all nerds and we live in our own hovels. So it's sometimes it takes a group to kind of shake you out of it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean that's why, yeah, especially as someone who has like sometimes pretty serious mobility issues and all that jazz. Yeah, no, the classics track is someplace where I know even if I'm not on a panel, I can stop in for like 10 seconds if I need to, get some water, someone will immediately come check up on me, and you guys have never once like said, yeah, Gary will be like, what's up? Like I think I leave a stash of like of just like the Me Safe protein bars with you guys, so if I walk in I'm just like, I'm just here for a protein bar.
Or your tea mug.
Or my tea mug.
I found 3 of your bars in my backpack that I got home last year.
That's if she's ever in Alabama, she knows she can stop there.
Right.
Yeah, if I'm ever driving through Birmingham again, like Birmingham just doesn't end, Joe. Like it just doesn't end. I think we were driving and we were in Birmingham for the entire time, and I'm like, does the city actually span the state?
But it's not just the types of programming.
Lost Darren.
But it's like your oh my gosh, words.
Yeah.
Format. That's the word that I'm going for. BritTrack basically took roll a panel this year.
Oh, really?
And they did it instead of
It's
a die,
a
they
spinning
used
wheel.
a wheel. So it's like wheel a panel, I guess.
Joe and I have come up with many panel innovations.
Yeah, but like people are seeing that they're popular and fun, and DragonCon has really been pushing for panels that have audience interaction. So people are taking those ideas and incorporating them into other tracks.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, I remember when Roller Panel got going on the classics track, I remember Joe and Gary saying to the other tracks, like, here's what this crazy thing we came up with. Take it. If you want to use it, here's a way to do a bunch of stuff in one panel. So it's not like, hey, you took my idea. It's please share this idea.
I now want to see Rosalind in a lab coat as like, one of the people, here at American Sci-Fi Classics Labs, we are hard at work.
Dibs on Beaker. Dibs on Beaker.
Well, it's my favorite thing that everybody knew that was a Muppets 3D reference.
Yeah. Well, and also again, talking about, Joe and I have a few guiding principles, and one of them is
I don't believe you.
We've been to so many panels at DragonCon or others where it's just the people sitting up on the stage lecturing at the audience, and you can see them just
hate that. I hate that.
And it's like we in our early days we had 1 or 2, and we don't invite them anymore that do that. It's like, no, you can get that anywhere. We want that interaction.
Well, this is why I don't understand the preponderance, I don't even know if that's the right word, of live podcast panels. Like, if I want to listen to your podcast, I'll download the episode. I don't want to sit in the audience and listen to your podcast because there's, again, 44 other things happening.
Podcasting and DragonCon is for people who can't go, then get to experience it. It's not you're yes, it's providing content, but it's not the meaning behind it. It's not like, hey, this is such and such the show, the panel. I one of the things that I learned very quick with you guys is even if you're disseminating information, you involve the audience somehow. Even if that's, like landing a joke, even if it's like, so what do you guys think? And like getting like a consensus, you're involving them in a way that isn't simply this is this and that is that.
Yeah.
Like Zazu the panel, basically.
It's the difference between when I remember in college the classes I liked best were the ones that encouraged participation. I was an English literature major, so that happened a lot. But a class where the professor just stands there and drones at you for an hour and then you leave is not one that is really, I mean, you may get something out of it, but you won't get as much as you do when you get the give and take of ideas back and forth with everybody in the audience too. And every single panel I've done on this track has encouraged that. And not, there's some, I mean, I've been on plenty of panels and I've pre-recorded a bunch of panels for this weekend. And of course, there's obviously no audience participation there. And there are plenty of panels where just the panel can just talk forever on the subject without the need of anybody else, just because there's enough people and the topic is interesting enough. But that feedback is so much more energizing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
we joke about the moderating thing on this track, right? Because the very quick version of this story.
Tell the story.
Is on the, I think it was the Wizard of Oz anniversary panel. Gary looked at the panel and was like, I haven't eaten all day. I need to go get something. I'm not doing this panel. Sue, you're the moderator. And walked out the door.
And walked out.
And I was like, wait, what? That's a cattail. And apparently somebody left feedback in the app about how terrible and unprofessional that was to put somebody on the spot as the moderator.
Yeah, I got called out by a random Dragon Con person for doing that to her.
From an outside perspective, I can see why somebody might think that.
No, it's the thing about this track though is like whenever I'm moderating a panel, and it's something I really don't mind doing. It's fine. It was a joke mostly. But I always try to come into a panel with discussion questions just in case, right? I want to be prepared in case the audience is not into it. But they usually are. But my goal is always, I want this to be an audience-driven panel. And sometimes it takes a while to start up. That's why you have those questions that as a moderator, you can pose to your panel to get the ball rolling. But then the hand starts shooting up. And really, you only have to ask on this track maybe 1 or 2 questions to your panel before your audience takes over and they drive it to where they're interested in talking about. And that doesn't happen on every track, but it almost always happens on the classics track.
Yeah.
Gary did that surprise "you're the moderator" to me twice last year.
Oh.
now it's a meme.
And that was great.
It's a meme now.
It was
like that kind of. Go ahead, Michael.
I was going to say then I stuck Kevin with a third one because I was the moderator for the UHF presentation, and I looked over at Kevin and I'm like, Kevin, you are far more qualified than I am to talk about this. You got it.
I am somewhat familiar with Mr. Yankovic. Yes, yes.
Moderating is
I was gonna say that's a good lead into Bethany. Tell the Gary no damn it Joe.
That's what I wanted to get to. But let's I wanna there's a lot of stuff that we may refer to while we're doing panels, but more so than that. Dragon Con is this combined experience that we all have, but each of us has crazy stories and wackiness that happens either to us or it breaks out all around us. So what I'd like to do is get you guys to tell things like that. So that was a very long way to get to Bethany to tell that thing.
Okay, so this was... I think this was the same year. I think this was like the same first year where I told Joe, where I told the story already, where I was like, Joe, I've just been winging it. He's like, I'm putting you in everything. Now, I have anxiety issues, so that made my heart almost explode. So I was just like, damn it, no, Joe, no, damn it, Joe. So, but it kept coming up, and Joe just kept referencing it, and then Gary got in on it, and I'm like, Gary, no, damn it, Joe. And it was like you could just, if the three of us were in a room at some point, you would hear me say those 2 things. Just like the whole thing with the early morning panels, which has now become its own meme. And just how, because I think they put me on my very first 8:30 a.m. panel, and I just looked at them and went, okay, but why do you hate people? Why do you hate your panelists? And if you're gonna make me do this 8:30 a.m. panel, the worst one was the 8:30 a.m. on Monday, because I'm like, why? Like Saturday, most of us are still upright. Sunday, yeah, okay, maybe. But Monday, like, what is wrong with you? But
That's my fault,
luckily,
actually.
Michael Bailey was moderating that panel, and he is, a gentleman and a scholar, and they totally did not mind that I did what I told Gary Joe what I was gonna do. Is I came down and I did the panel in my bathrobe, and then I went back upstairs and actually put real clothes on for the rest of my stuff that day.
There was one year about 3 or 4 years ago, we were like, yeah, we're not doing 8:30 in the morning panels. And we didn't put them on, and we put out the pre-schedule of here's what we're going on. And Michael Bailey goes, hey,
Oh.
8:30 panel.
So yeah, okay. I guess this is all my fault. Like a lot of things. I'm the youngest of 4 and the only boy. Everything was my fault growing up. So the 8:30 panels were basically came out of I was way too eager. And I was willing to do stuff. So I just stuck my hand up. I'm like, this is how I'll get noticed. I'll volunteer for it. Again, not knowing what Faustian bargain I was taking part in. But the weird thing is,
in your case, Felix Faustian.
Yeah,
yes,
is
Nice.
that it became this thing that now, I mean, Kevin and I still don't have a topic for Monday morning. We'll figure something out this week.
We're good. We're good. We got it.
But the fact of the matter is that you could count on that it was going to be at least Joe, Kevin, and I, and we would find something to talk about, and it created this whole like weird. When we had hotel rooms, we didn't have one last year, but it would be like we'd get up at 5 o'clock, we'd pack up the room, we'd get ready, we'd check out of the hotel super early. I'd go get my pumpkin spice latte because damn it, this is the official start of fall. And I would go do an 8:30 panel. And that is, I think, the thing that's breaking my heart the most out about this. But it did lead to the craziest thing I have ever witnessed, which was Kevin and Joe lip syncing to Bonnie Tyler's version of Making Love Out of Nothing at All. Now, let me set the scene for you. 3 days before, we're all sitting in the secret food court, Gary, Joe, Kevin, Joe, and I.
Yes.
Having Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin'
Yes.
Donuts.
Because we had that whole
Boston zone, Massachusetts.
Yeah,
Dunkin' Donuts.
we had that whole conversation about how apparently the Dunkin' Donuts people like went up to the Krispy Kreme people and said, you know, you guys got to leave or someone's going to get hurt. At least that's how it played out in my head. Yeah. And I said, I said to Kevin, fully expecting Kevin to know what I was talking about because Kevin knows everything about 80s music.
Sure, and I know Bonnie Tyler, and I'm so tragically obsessed with Air Supply that I should know these things.
I said the words. Bonnie Tyler's version of Making Love Out of Nothing at All, and you looked at me like, what? Yeah, and so. Just randomly after the 8:30 panel and before the Incredible Hulk panel, I plugged because that year, with the phone I had, you could plug it in, and I started playing it. Now, Bonnie Tyler's version of this song was produced by Jim Steinman, and if you know anything about Jim Steinman, his songs,
he wrote the song. It's his song also.
It is, but it was Air Supply wasn't a Steinman-esque version of a Steinman song.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, there's this haunting woman singing like, ah, and Kevin's head went literally, like suddenly he heard angels and they were speaking to him. And then slowly, I watched him start lip syncing the song. Now, I had listened to the Flopcast, I had watched Kevin on panels. I had never seen Kevin unfiltered until this moment. And when he and Joe went full out, I went, this was worth everything that has happened to me from the moment I was born until this morning right here.
Wow.
This was worth everything. So that to me was my favorite, just favorite Classics track because you guys went crazy.
It was a magic, bizarre, goofy moment, and that's the kind of thing that happens on Classics Track. And the spontaneous, unplanned stuff is always the best stuff, and that's what this was. Like Monkeys versus Minions, we did not plan Monkeys versus Minions as a tournament panel.
You can't possibly plan that.
It just happened, and yeah, Making Love Out of Nothing at All lip sync just happened, and there is a video of it. Like Rachel brilliantly broke her phone out and shot video of the crazy lip sync performance, and she posted. Well, maybe we can repost that to the Classic.
We're gonna have to do that.
That must be buried from like 2 years ago. Yeah, we'll repost that to the Classics Track Facebook page because it's pretty intense.
Pretty intense indeed. So what about let's see a couple somebody else with
Michael Faulkner.
Okay.
Yes, so spontaneous. If those of you who are watching this right now and don't know anything about the Classics Track, we started doing something years ago that is for charity. It's the bad movie lock-in kind of thing. And the debut of this was the Star Wars Holiday Special.
I warned you.
Where basically, okay, so
no.
That's a story in itself, right? You lock the doors, you tell people they have to pay the charity to leave, and I'm sitting there drinking pie like, this is so awesome, watching all of your eyes bleed. Well, fast forward a couple of years, we also do another panel called it's Sci-Fi Court, basically, where you defend bad movies, right? And in our secret group, we're planning all this stuff for the year. People are listing off the movies they want to defend, and I, just being a smartass, pop in and say, what, no one's going to take Mac and me? What's going on here? Well, sure enough, I'm put on that panel to defend Mac and me. Well, the Star Wars track, had the scheduling conflict. It was either show up and talk about Luke Skywalker for an hour in The Last Jedi, or go defend Mac and me, and I'm like, I'm going to Luke Skywalker. Well, what do these guys do? The next year's charity movie is now Mac and me.
Of course.
You didn't show up to this one. I'll show you.
12 months of revenge.
Yes.
My favorite part of that is like when we did the Star Wars Holiday Special, when we did the little panel beforehand, and before it started, I stood up and went, "Here's my 20, I'm out."
Right.
People laughed, but I was laughing later.
And meanwhile, Rosalind and her brother had not seen this, right? So I'm just like, okay, buckle up, here we go.
We go to do the Mac and me, and I tell them in the private group, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm dropping my 20 and walking out. And Rosalind, tell the story, Rosalind. It's your story.
I just said, if you want pie at all, it'll be at Mac and me, and that's the only way you're getting some.
Oh! I sat through that whole damn movie, but I got pie.
You got pie.
That has to be really, really good pie, because damn.
and watching Joe, who had never seen Mac and me, just off the wall.
Wait, how had you never seen Mac and me?
Right? I know.
Bethany, I love it.
He was off the wall. So it's like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
The only other time I had ever seen Joe like that, and we talked about this on the G.I. Joe panel that's airing later this weekend, is when we told him about the Viper episode of the G.I. Joe cartoon, where the guy calls up and says the Viper will be there at noon, and at the end of the episode, a guy shows up and goes, "I'm the Viper. I'm here to vipe your windows."
Windows, yes.
And Joe had never heard about this, and I think we broke him. But my favorite part of that is now, at the drop of a hat, you and I can freak out Rachel.
Yes.
By doing the little greeting that he did. Yeah,
I'm still trying to find a way to get a copy of Mac and me into your house that doesn't end up with her killing me.
Oh yeah, because
I have the perfect solution. Housewarming gift. Anonymous.
No. Because I was told by Rachel Bailey that if Mac and Me on Blu-ray shows up anywhere in the Bailey household, I am to blame and I will die.
She has strong feelings about this movie.
Right, she does.
Meanwhile, I got to the part where they're dancing at McDonald's, and I'm like, you guys like, are you filtering in a hallucinogen and now it's just kicked in?
And can we get it?
Everybody look at Kevin.
Yes.
Nice.
Was that for when Michael had to miss Sci-Fi Court and not defend Mac and me? This was the slide that we opened the presentation with.
It's still the only movie to be found guilty.
Yeah.
No. Batman and Robin was also found guilty.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but this
Oh,
is
and
a,
Matt was found guilty, but Joe exercised his judicial.
Pardon?
I overrode.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
overrode
Yeah.
it.
so did the appeal work a year later? Did Mac get out of jail?
Yes, that thing is on the loose right now. So watch out, everybody.
You're
So
welcome,
when-
world.
When are we gonna do? When are we gonna do
number breaks
Supreme?
out in McDonald's, you know why.
Yeah, I had a
Supreme Court.
Sci-Fi
Wait.
Appeals Court.
But when are we gonna do? When are we gonna do Supreme Sci-Fi Court and have five judges?
I will wear my Ruth Bader Ginsburg costume
Yes,
for that.
please.
Yes.
I will volunteer as tribute for this panel.
We have
All
the
right,
audience.
next year it's happening. And by the way, this is another classic track tradition of us BSing and then a new panel being born that will happen the next year.
And what I'll do is I'll pre-record mine, and you guys can set up like a little like an iPad, and it'll be like the judges in Superman the movie, where I'll just sit there and go guilty, like guilty.
What other track? What other track would have a panel where the point is everybody on the panel is Michael?
Right?
Yeah.
The Council of Michaels.
Yeah, and that came out because we had one panel, and I think it was Faulkner and Bailey and Faber and Gordon and like me, and I'm just like,
one of these is not like the other.
You're an honorary Michael.
I still think we need to do a Dave's I Know parody.
Yeah.
I wrote the whole damn thing too.
Yeah.
Of course you did.
Michael Bailey, he likes Superman.
It just doesn't it takes almost no effort to get this group of people on your side. I mean, pandering is perfectly appropriate in this room, and it's wonderful to watch. One year, the charity can came to, what was it, like $662.38, and I just said, guys, get your quarters out. Let's make it $666.
We're literally digging through all of our pockets and all of our purses trying to make
it's
that
like if you want to teach the classics track how to subtract, that's the way to trick them into learning how to subtract.
Yeah, it was hilarious until that demon suddenly appeared in the middle of the track room.
Yeah, we gave the devil's donation.
And all he wanted to talk about was legend the entire time.
But also he had that bag full of Mac and Me on Blu-ray too, which was bizarre coincidence.
It was really weird. Or it's like, I was like, guys, this is the classics track, and I'm like, I've been here for years. Where's our crawl panel? And sure enough, the next year, I was just like, yes, and we get to watch the movie afterwards. Yes.
And then there was,
I messaged Joe just a couple of weeks ago at like 3 a.m. because they sleep anymore, and I was like, what if you do? Should I give it away?
Sure.
I was like, what if we do brackets for the Twilight Zone? This bracket, the whole thing. I mean, we'll have to narrow it down, but we'll choose our best Twilight Zone episode. And like 2 days later, that was the Twilight Zone panel for this year at the convention.
Oh man,
which I'm not on. WTF, Joe?
You're on it now.
I gotta say,
You're moderating.
You're moderating.
You're also moderating. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it again. I think a Twilight Zone episode panel, while fun, we're all living like an extended episode of that anyways, where nobody is learning from what we're supposed to be learning from. So
that is true.
It's a little too close to home.
A little on the nose there, yeah.
Well, it's like, and I've seen Joe do like bracket stuff at other conventions that I've swindled him into coming to, and those are always like ridiculously hysterical.
Sci-fighters.
One of my favorite panels.
I think we should bracket something every year.
Oh yeah,
we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, last
Midterm
year's,
bracket in the
last year's
classic track.
Nicolas Cage match may be one of the
Yes.
of Dragon Con.
Oh yeah.
And that's where the audience can decide it, because I jokingly yelled from the audience, Sarah McLachlan comes in with the chair.
It was your fault.
And suddenly Sarah McLachlan's the winner. So, you know. So the lesson here is open your big yap and you'll get to do stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah.
I mean, also guys, we can't sort of like bypass the fact that the whole sandwich taco
Oh my
pie controversy started.
Okay,
Started
and here's
because no, this all started because it was me and Tegan and Sue on a late panel, and we were all there early, and the other panel had already cleared out, and we are trying to keep talking so that none of us falls asleep before the panel
and guess what I heard on one of the video channels I watch, one of the channels I watch on YouTube. The legal guy is talking, and he says where we can have the real discussions, like, are hot dogs a sandwich? And I went, you ripped that off.
we were having this conversation 5 years ago.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're late to the party, guy who is much better looking than I.
Yeah, and I was, and you know, we even had someone in the comments of this on Facebook going, hey, you know, what about is you know, a hot dog a sandwich? And I'm like, it is too early in the con for this discourse. but
that's something that what sprang from that are like our AMAs, our pre-panel AMAs.
Our pre-panel AMAs.
Which like sometimes are really hilarious, but often the audience doesn't know what to do with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. That's part of the fun.
Well, it's like
they're fun for us.
Yeah, they're fun for us. Well,
Yeah,
it's like
dance.
people know what to do with them on the classics track more and more. But like if you bring it over to like Sci-Fi Media, they half the time they're just like, I'm sorry, what?
Oh man.
What
And I'm
is
like,
this?
I'm like,
I want to tell a AM Sci-Fi Media story, and that
Please.
is a couple years ago. I was moderating it actually, about artificial intelligence, and it's American Sci-Fi and Fantasy Media. So in the context of that track, we're talking about like basically androids, right? We're talking about those characters, right? And artificial intelligence in that sense. And there was a guy there, man, who like really thought he must have been on the EFF track or something, because he got real mad about like our definition of artificial intelligence and how androids aren't real and that's not how computers really process artificial intelligence, and like just stood up and started yelling at the panel. And I was like, dude, that's not, I understand what you're saying in terms of real life, but like that's not what this panel is about. This panel is about science fiction, artificial intelligence, not like not Electronic Frontiers Forum or robotics. So like pay attention to what track you're on, friends. He was so mad.
I would have said, go to EFF, they have beer, drink their beer and chill out. And they do.
I think drink their beer is always just good advice generally.
Drink their beer.
Yes, exactly, because then you don't have to pay for it. It's somebody else's. Yeah.
They do.
He was so mad.
We're gonna say.
Say Sci-Fi and Fantasy Media track has that problem every year with artificial intelligence. We always think we're going to talk about the shows, and it turns out to be they just want to talk about the reality of AI. We're like, it's not what the track is. Like,
If we ever talk about something in reality on the American Sci-Fi Classics track, shutting it down.
You've let me talk about
the in memoriam panels. The in memoriam panels count as real.
Yeah,
we talk about people.
Yes.
So
and you've let me talk about fan history more than once.
Of course.
Yeah, but no, or yeah, that's where our AMAs came from, because your panelists were literally sitting there trying not to fall asleep on the table, and I'm like, if we keep talking, we'll be able to stay awake.
the audience is just participatory in those as anything.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories is for most of the time, carrying over from the previous administration of the Classics track, I did a game show, and it got to the point where Gary and I ran out like for prizes, we would just dig stuff up out of our bookcases or out of our closet, all geeky stuff. And we did it so often, we ran out.
Yeah.
We ran
I
out of
you could
stuff that
never
we wanted to
run
get
out.
rid of.
We had tons. Every year we would show up with like 3 or 4 totes worth of crap from our respective basements. And every year we'd leave with totes full of crap that we couldn't get rid of. And I still remember the one year I finally was looking and I messaged Joe. I'm like, Joe, I'm out of stuff.
I no longer have any crap on my bookshelf.
Yeah.
Don't
And
worry, I
so-
got this stuff.
We
Of course,
put
that
the
also
word
is
out
my other
to.
favorite memories is, I believe.
Let
what
Joe
the-
finish.
No, but no. Well, this leads into what Gary was. I think I know the story Gary's about to say. But we put out to the crowd, the Classic Track audience, like, bring us your stuff and we'll give it away. And then that has happened every year since. And now, Gary, tell us.
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember his name. Heather's husband, Matthew, brings in a collection of stuff, and Joe starts handing him out as prizes. And I happen to look over, and he's handing out a stack of famous Monsters of Filmland magazines. And my horror nerd go, no! He was like, no, those were me. He was already handing them to somebody, and I couldn't just jerk them out of that poor person.
Well, you could.
You could.
But you shouldn't.
But Joe still loves to rub that in my face and the look on my face.
You guys should definitely have prizes for people who moderate who weren't supposed to moderate. Just
Gee, what possible motive would you have for asking that, Darren?
The prize is you get to moderate again.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the prize is that you get to
Moderate
do
a
any panel you want, no questions asked. At least that's how it's worked out for me.
Ooh,
yeah,
yeah.
pretty much.
I like it.
Oh gosh, I think my best experience with having the room turn on me while I was sitting on a panel was in your track, because I've had an audience turn on me at various places, but I think the only time the whole panel turned on me was when I was griefing about the chair in Last Starfighter.
Oh, yeah. No, you were wrong.
And everyone on the panel looked at me like, what? The chair? And I explained, and then the chair, like, I think we had 4 callbacks to the chair on the same panel and on later panels too. And I was like, wow, read the room wrong. I didn't realize you guys were so sensitive about your furniture diversity.
Rule 1 of the Classics Track: all are welcome and everybody's fandom is equal. Rule number 2:
points don't matter.
Rule number 2: for certain things, we will break rule number 1. And apparently, it's just like the like Mac and Me, the chair. I mean, I'm sure there's
rule
other
number 1
things.
can be broken as long as you can get a good laugh out of it.
Yeah.
That's how one of our longest standing bits happened with Joe and Manimal.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, that goes back way before the Classics Track.
It really does.
That was the book on Joe back on Genie in 1993.
Yeah, I really want to see the screenshots of Joe's GeoCities Manimal site that he put together back in like 1995 or something.
Oh man, I would give quite a lot of money to see that.
I'm still waiting for the pilot to train them all. I mean, come on, where's Trainable?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the time that this guy decided on a completely unrelated panel to go off on the Ghostbusters reboot?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
And then I almost murdered him.
Yes.
Why didn't you murder him?
Not to be outdone.
You had a whole room of people who would provide alibis.
I think Gary stopped me.
Ah.
Because like I was also like I was doing the thing I do where I take the handheld and I go out into the audience and act as a runner instead of like pointing at people. So I was standing like 2 feet from the guy. And what wound up happening is I grabbed the microphone back and ripped him a new one, and then he left the room.
as he's leaving too, his parting shot is, well, the soundtrack sucks, and walked out. It's like,
really?
Yes.
That was the best he could do?
That's up there with.
Have a little pride, man.
We were showing Transformers the movie.
Oh.
So we do a panel like we always do before the movie, and I forget the dude's name, and it's probably for the best that we don't say it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But Joe and Gary weren't there because you guys were. I think Joe was moderating like one of the big panels in one of the ballrooms.
Something.
And Gary, I think, had to eat.
I was on a different panel.
You were on a different panel, so like, I feel partially responsible for what happened because I should have tackled this guy and taken the microphone away from him. But so he starts going on this rant about how he got into a Twitter fight with one of the producers from the Goldbergs because the Optimus Prime in one of their episodes was not the Optimus Prime that would have been out that year. And I'm just like, okay. And then somebody mentions the Beast version of Transformers.
Beast Wars.
And he just starts ripping into this dude in the audience. And I'm just like, okay, Joe invited this guy, so I don't quite know what to do. But I really wish that's one of those back in time moments where I wish I would have just yanked the microphone out of his hands and said, "No more for you, sir."
That guy, I advertised on the Twitter that we were doing a Transformers panel, and I like to pull other people in, like people do podcasts, and that's where I met some of you people. But this guy did a Transformers podcast, so I thought, well, he might like to be on a Transformers panel. And
was he recommended to us by a different track director?
Yeah,
something. So.
I don't know. But we were showing the Transformers movie, the cartoon with Leonard Nimoy and those guys. And I just thought it would be cool to watch that movie with all of our toys being killed. It's fun. And so this dude gets up there and he stood either on the table or something and goes on this mega rant about how Beast Wars is terrible. And then he tells a story about having a celebrity, like a voice guy from the Transformers cartoon, at a convention that he was at. And he did this elaborate prank on the guy, telling him how everyone hated the character that he did. And it was just so outrageous. And
no,
that guy hasn't been back since. I don't know where he is or who he is. But good Lord, that ain't us. That ain't us.
Shouldn't be anybody.
I am very proud of the group of people we've managed to collect together, that we've got a lot of fun, happy people, and Kevin. And none of them it took me about.
By the way,
I want you all to know it took me about 3 seconds to figure out which one of you I was going to say that
about. So many choices.
Very, very early on, when that you guys had control of this track, it was either your first or second year, because I was still relatively new to panels. I was on a panel with Gary. I don't remember what it was about, but this guy shows up after it starts and just sits himself on the panel. And this is like a 10 or 11:30 panel. It's early in the morning, and he is plastered.
Ooh.
And like, Gary doesn't ask him. Nobody asked this guy who he is or like to introduce himself, I don't think. And like, he is just up there like pretending to be on the panel for like a half an hour, and then at some point he just goes, "I'm sorry," and gets down from the panel, and we just kept going. And like, I still don't know what that was about.
Stu, I've been meaning to apologize for so many years now.
It was Kevin in a dark man mask.
Right. Yeah, it's like I knew we were. This was the early days. I knew we were expecting one other person that I didn't know, but they were supposed to be on the panel. I thought he was that guy. And just like Sue said, he was just drunk and rambling, and he just was belligerent. And finally, like she said, he finally wandered off. And I was like, oh, thank God. And then it was afterwards. She's like, so who is that guy? Wait, you didn't know?
How is he sober enough to even find the room? When I'm sober, I still get lost. I'm like, where?
Actually, it's easier to find the room when you're drunk.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Drunk logic kicks in.
Yeah.
But because of where the room is located, you have things like Peter Capaldi just popping into the room to get his picture taken with the Planet of the Apes costume.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Or
I still
standing
love the picture I have of him and them with me in the background going,
or standing out that hallway right by the green room, and I'm talking with Rachel, just minding my own business, wearing this scarf behind me, and someone walks by and just grabs it, looks me in the eyes, and says, "Hello, sweetie," and walks on. It took me about 5 seconds to process. Oh my God, that was Alex Kingston.
this is another area, though, where Dragon Con is completely different. 2007, we were staying in the Marriott with some friends, and I went up to the room for whatever reason, and I'm walking to our room. Now, our room is like right here. The door right in front of me opens, and out walks Gates McFadden, Brent Spiner, and Jonathan Frakes. And
why didn't you call me?
This was well before we met, but Sue, believe me, I would have. And I just froze. Now, I don't get really starstruck. The only time that happens is like, there's a picture of me and Dina Meyer where I look like I'm with a girl. But because it's Dina Meyer.
Girl, I mean.
But I froze, right? And Gates McFadden walks beside me, beyond me. Brent Spiner does, but Jonathan Frakes stops, looks at me, goes, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm fine. Have a good con." And I'm just like, "Okay." And I think I stood there about 20 minutes after they walked off because I just couldn't believe that they were. The only thing that was better than that was the day Nathan Fillion saved my life. I was unpacking the car in 2008. I slipped backwards, and Nathan Fillion caught me.
He's a superhero.
But this stuff only happens at Dragon Con.
But like knowing Frakes, not that I know him personally, but in my experience with Frakes, like he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This guy's going to be standing here for half an hour.
I actually have a great. Jessa was here for this about 5 years ago, I think it was. We were at Dragon Con. We're waiting for the elevators at the basement of the Marriott to go up, and I look behind us, and there's Frakes, and he's leaned against the wall. He kind of got his hand up, so you can tell he's trying to be, low key, leave me alone. And I'm like, I can't. I just go over to him and I say, "Excuse me, Mr. Frakes, I know you're on your own personal time. I just want to say, I think you're an amazing director. You've done some fantastic work, and now I'm going to leave you alone." And he goes, and I go back to Jessa. We get on the elevator doors open. We get in. He gets in. I keep just talking to Jessa, trying to, I'm playing it cool.
I told you I'd leave you alone.
Yeah. We go up 2 floors, doors open, the crowd comes in. We start going up, and all of a sudden, everybody else in the elevator realizes there's Jonathan Frakes. And so they start whipping out their phones, and, "Hey, can we get your picture?" And he's being very kind, very polite. He's like, "Yeah, smile." We get up to our floor, the doors open, Jess and I get off. I turn back and I look and I catch his eye and I just give him a head nod and he just gives me a back of like, "See, I left you alone." I'm like, these people. It's like, I had a moment with Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially for stuff that only ever happens at this con. Like, my charming, lovely, wonderful roommate who has not killed me in my sleep, and I were joking back and forth, because this was a couple years ago. We were really, really big into Falling Skies, and the Falling Skies season 4 season finale was airing the Sunday of Dragon Con. So I very, very bluntly told people I am not available to do panels at this time. And we told everyone in the room with us, I don't care if you're sleeping. I don't care what's going on. This is going to be on. We are going to be watching this. This is a 2-hour season finale. Everyone's going to shut up and let us watch. they had a bunch of Falling Skies cast members that year. And randomly, because both of us were huge nerds, so we go to the Hall of Fame, or the Walk of Fame, so that we can just try and get like an autograph or something, because I normally don't go unless there's something I really, really want to see there. And they had Colin Cunningham of like Stargate and Falling Skies fame, and a whole bunch of really awesome B movies that are too numerous to name. And we've been kind of joking back and forth of, just holding like a watch party for the season 4 finale with some people on the Apocalypse Rising track. My charming roommate mentions this to Colin Cunningham when she's talking to him, getting the signed picture and stuff. And he's like, you know what, that's a great idea. We'll just, I'm in the Marriott, we can just hold it in mine. And so that's how that year I got to watch the Falling Skies season 4 season finale at DragonCon in Colin Cunningham's hotel room with about 25 other Falling Skies nerds.
You win.
And like literally this was one of those things. Because he knew everything that was going on, so he's literally sitting back there and like watching all of us react to this in live, and just like live there. And the Falling Skies panel the next morning, he's like, because he'd also kept trying to like call the other cast members and be like, guys, you have to come over here, like you have to do this. But he brought it up on the panel, and he's like, this was the best thing in my entire career, was watching these 25 people completely lose their shit over this season finale at Con. And I mean, and that is still one of the moments that's like right up there with I tripped on a wire and Burt Ward caught me. So I was caught by Robin. That will never get old. But yeah, I was just like,
the thing that the track has allowed to happen, that's an only at DragonCon moment, is when somehow Joe got Terry Farrell to be on a panel in our track room.
Yes.
What? And like, so that one year that she did the Truly Outrageous panel with us, and just like she was very kind and very gracious. And like, I think she was very surprised that she was in a track room and not a ballroom. But like Tegan and I had very difficult time composing ourselves that whole time. Because I mean, I hadn't done many panels with the Trek actors at that point, certainly. And it was just, okay. Whew.
Or like, when we got Cecil Baldwin for a panel, and I was just like internally, like externally, I'm like, I'm cool, I'm calm, I'm a professional, we can do this. Inside out, just like.
But also, like, it wasn't even about what he does. Yeah. Like, it was about what he was interested in.
Yeah,
he's not talking about Night Vale.
He's not talking about Night Vale. We were talking about how we've always been here. And it was just really, really, and then of course he did propose to me on that track, and I think that's the first time I've ever had an actual brain 404 moment on any of these panels that I've been doing for like the last 10 years. That's the first time my brain just went.
By the way, if you are a celebrity and are watching this and you want to be on a Classic Track panel, please reach out to us. We'll find you.
A celebrity other than Keith, because we've got his number.
Yes.
Yeah, we've already got Keith.
In more ways than one. Yeah.
Hey, I'm not even gonna lie, Keith. Back in 2014, when we did the Marvel History of Marvel Movies panel together, a buddy of mine, I posted the picture of us together, and my friend messages me. He's like, "You're on a panel with Keith?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Well, I mean, it's just like, to me, it's like completely normal. And he just blew up my phone with messages because he knew you from like some like fan forum or whatever, and he was in love with your writing. And apparently, I was sitting next to God for whatever. Or whatever. And it was just like, so like for like 5 seconds, I was like cool. And then that just completely went away.
There was, speaking
I'm
about.
glad I could help.
Though I will say this also. Keith is also, this is also an opportunity for me to interact with somebody that in a very roundabout way was part of a really kind of dark time in my personal life. When I was 19, I was living in this apartment. I was completely out of money. It was right before I moved to Georgia. And of course, I was spending money on books because that's what you do when you're about to get kicked out of your apartment. And I found this copy of Untold Tales of Spider-Man. It was an anthology book. And I had just read What Savage Beast. And I'm like, okay, this is another prose Marvel book. And you were an editor on that, but you also had a story in that. And that book really got me through getting to where I needed to go. So being with you on this panel, on these panels, it's just like, now I get to interact with this guy who had this effect on me 25 years ago, but now I get to hang out with him and it's kind of cool.
I had a very similar experience paneling with Keith.
Oh, yeah?
I knew for a long time, I don't think I've ever told you this, that reading Star Trek tie-in novels, I knew that I was going to get my Picard Crusher fix with either Peter David or with Keith Canada. And then I realized, oh, I'm on a panel with this guy. And my sleep-deprived brain starts singing songs I wrote about my cat.
That was okay. Well, that was the Xena panel.
Yeah, that was our first paneling
whatever
together.
the hell year that was. You were still in the L-shaped room. I think it was the last year in the L-shaped room.
God, I hated that room.
I can't imagine why. That was sarcasm. But the panel.
But also, you were wearing a Yankees jersey, and I couldn't see what the number on the back was, but I could see that it was double digits and started with a 1. So the whole time I'm sitting there like, this guy better not be wearing an A-Rod jersy. And the instant the panel was over and you stood up, I was like, oh, thank God it's Munson.
It was Thurman Munson, who was my favorite ball player growing up. Anytime I was able to pick a number for a uniform, it's always been 15. But that panel, it was the first time I met Sue. It was the first time I met Tegan also.
Oh man, double whammy.
And Jessa was on the panel. So I've known Jessa forever. And the four of us, I was the token male on the Xena panel, and it was great. And I think Michael, you're the one, Michael Faulkner. I think you took the picture of us on the panel with me with my head basically 90 degrees back, laughing my ass off, probably over Sue's song about her cat. And I several people after that picture got posted said, yes, you have summed up Keith's essence with that picture.
Yes. I have to say, Keith, I have like about 30 pictures of you. All of them are going.
Yeah, there is a very similar photo.
You do have a Pez dispenser laugh. I mean,
there's a very similar photo / screenshot from the novelization panel we did 2 weeks ago now. But we're both in the same positions. Your head is all the way back, and I'm like looking at my phone.
I think that was when you were reading the motion picture novelization. I picked that screenshot. I was going through the damn thing looking for a shot of me throwing my head back and laughing on purpose. That was very deliberate.
That's how people know it's you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they only recognize
your facial recognition.
One of my other favorite photos.
Hey, look, it's the Canada's Adams
Washington panel, and all of us are smiling, and Michael Bailey.
Yeah, it's like there's this lovely young woman in a Silk Spectre outfit who gets up and she's posing with everybody, and Rad Ranger is staring at the camera, Kevin, Gary. And I'm looking off like, I'm not on this panel. I'm just up here. I've never been on a panel before, Mr. Mitchell.
Do you want to moderate one?
Oh, that's happened so many times. One of my favorite, though, being a moderator, one of my favorite was from last year when we did the Batman '89 panel. And it was a fun panel. And we're doing the panel's over and people rush the stage and they're talking to everybody, and I'm just kind of packing up my computer and this dude walks up to me. He's like, hey, he's got a lovely British accent. He's like, I really enjoyed the panel. And I'm like, thanks. He's like, yeah, I was the set photographer for Batman.
Oh.
And I'm just like, why weren't you up here?
of the 5 people on this stage, no one is more qualified than you. And then I realized when we were talking, as lovely as he was, he probably would have told some stories that weren't really appropriate for before 10 o'clock. But but it's just like one of those things, like half the pictures that I had in my presentation, this dude took. And now I'm sitting here talking to him.
We're still going.
I have a picture here, actually.
Hi, Allison.
Hey.
Hi.
My one of my favorite celebrity moments from the Classics Track is, I think this was like 6 years ago. This was Joe was on stage with Ralph Macchio and Martin Kove from Karate Kid and C. Thomas Howell, who was with Ralph in The Outsiders. And Ralph and C. Thomas Howell together started reciting the Nothing Gold Can Stay poem
Joe made that
from
face.
The Outsiders. And it was literally, I'm going to show you this photo right now, it was literally a jaw-dropping moment for Joe. If I can pull this up. There we go.
So the funny thing about that panel is I will forever kick myself about that panel. And I don't know if Joe was actually doing this, but he was about to go to the panel and he said to me like 5 times, well, I'm going to go to this panel. And then I realized about 10 minutes after he left is I could have walked over with him and probably met these guys backstage really quick before the panel, but I just didn't apparently want to do that and talk to and tell C. Thomas Howell how my sister was in love with him and had a poster of him. and in the Christmas of '84 got a scrapbook that was this thick that she literally filled with Tiger Beat and Teen Beat photos of him. But no, I apparently had better things to do than, ride on Joe's coattails. No, please, everybody. My
Well, if it makes anybody feel better, my best friend is actually one of the stunt people on Cobra Kai. So.
Oh,
nice.
Awesome.
And he's actually lives down in Stone Mountain, Georgia. They film it down there.
They film in Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's if you ever see in the first season the scenes of them of Daniel training the kid, and it's these really beautiful lakes. Yeah, that's Peachtree City. That's like 10 minutes from where I live.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Friend,
It's so
friend of the
weird.
track, Chase Ambrose, who's been on a few panels, is actually an extra in season 3.
Nice.
He works for Daniel's car company.
Nice.
Car dealership. But that reminds me of one of my favorite celebrity moments, which was, it's funny now. Here, and we're doing a Babylon 5 panel with Fox Eichner and Mia Furlan. And I'm like, it was in the Hyatt, it was in the Hyatt, and I had to run from the Marriott. And you know what, like, trying to get through that crowd is like. I go running over there, I bust my butt, I get there like 2 minutes before the panel's supposed to start. I run in and I'm like, I'm terribly sorry, I'm running late, but I'm here to moderate this panel. And they go, that's great, Bruce and me aren't here yet. I'm like, what? And so I have to go up on stage and tell everybody, a packed ballroom full of, like 200 people who are staring at me going, I go, yeah, they're not here yet, so let's open the floor. And so I spent 15 minutes basically tap dancing on that stage, trying to keep these people from eating me.
You should have pulled the Joe Crow special, which is just have everybody start humming the theme song or singing the theme song, record it for Facebook.
We ended up going, does anybody in the audience have the Blu-rays? And this 15-year-old kid had season 4, so we broke out. And we throw that in, and we watch like about 5 minutes of one episode before Mia shows up.
Oh no!
Basically, her person had gotten lost in the tunnels. So she shows up, and I'm like, oh God, thank God, celebrity's here. She can start talking, and she does. And then about 10 minutes after that, Bruce, I will love Bruce Boxleitner forever for this. He kicks open the back doors of the table room with 5. And steps in and goes, hell of a way to run a space station. Driver had been, it was their first year volunteering for Dragon Con. They had never been in Atlanta before.
Oh, dear God.
So instead of going Peachtree to Peachtree to Peachtree, they went Peachtree to Peachtree to Peachtree.
Oh, gotta go Peachtree.
Yeah. So thankfully he shows up, and I have a picture which I'll have to dig out and put in the show notes of me with the two of them after the panel, and you can still see the panic. And they were both very lovely, and they both autographed the kids' Blu-ray set. So
nice.
Nice.
I remember Bruce Boxleitner from Scarecrow and Mrs. King.
Yes.
I love that dang show. I was a little girl, and I was like, because it had the lady from Charlie's Angels.
Yes.
I was like Kate Jackson. She was my favorite Charlie's Angels because she was like business, but she was cool too.
Yeah. Well,
He was born in my hometown, but I don't want y'all to treat me any differently.
Oh, we won't. We won't.
We won't. Don't worry.
You really don't have to worry about that, Joe.
Good.
So
No.
one of the weirdest things that ever happened of the one celebrity panel that I moderated, which I was a pitch hitter on, which was the Kevin Sorbo panel a couple years ago. Joe messages me out of nowhere, "Can you do this?" I'm like, "Okay, I've never done a celebrity panel before, but this will be a new experience." And it went fine. He's a very gregarious dude in real life. There was a weird moment where the Flash people walked by us as we were waiting, and John Wesley Shipp stopped and shook his hands, and I'm like, I would much rather moderate a panel with this guy. But later that year, that November, Justice League comes out, and Rachel and I hardly ever go to the movies because going to the movies is rough for her. And I'm sitting there waiting for Rachel to come out of the restroom, and this guy walks up to me, "Hey, you moderated the Kevin Sorbo panel."
Wow.
And I was just like, "Yeah, I did."
You're famous.
He's like, "Yeah, you did a great job," and he walks off. It was just like, that is the most random thing that has ever happened before watching Justice League.
I have a Kevin Sorbo adjacent story that did not happen at Dragon Con, but now I want to tell it anyway.
Go for it.
This is at New York Comic Con, and I was in line waiting for somebody, I don't even know, and there's these kids behind me, like looking at it's set up very much like the Walk of Fame, or at least it was in those days, where you could see the other celebrity tables, and these kids behind me are looking at the placards of the other celebrities nearby, and one of them goes, "Who's Kevin Sorbo?" And I hear their conversation a little bit, and they keep talking, and they can't figure it out. And I turn around to them, and I'm like, "Hercules?"
Andromeda?
And like blank stares. The Legendary Journeys? Blank stares. And like after another, 10 seconds, the kids just go, "We're 14.
Oh!
That's no.
And you buffied into dust.
Wasted years of their lives.
That reminds
So
me
then
of,
you went, "God's not dead."
Wow.
Michael.
That reminds me of I invited some of my coworkers to come to Dragon Con. They said they were coming in. Dragon Con is like, "Fine, here's my schedule. You know where to find me." I fully expect you to be on the front row heckling me. Well, one of my coworkers, who's significantly younger than me, shows up to the John Carpenter discussion. And before the panel starts, he walks right up. He's like, "I'm here. I'm going to heckle you. I'm going to ask you these weird questions, and you're not going to be able to answer." I'm like, "Okay, go for it." He sits down in the audience. Gary and I and the panel start going. I get this text message in the middle of the panel, and I look down, and I'm expecting maybe it's Rosalind. She needs something. And it's this guy in the audience who's my coworker. "I can't say anything. I've never seen any of these movies. I'm too young." All right.
Didn't even come prepared.
Yeah. I do have to say, though, that is kind of
You
one of
forgot
the
to tell him the best part. He showed up in a kilt.
Yeah.
With his legs.
He kept spreading the entire time. I'm just like,
No,
seriously.
I have had happen at least once, if not twice, where somebody shows up to a panel wearing a kilt, and it's like, "Dude, would you please put your leg down?"
Right.
Leg down.
Yeah, but a guy showing up at a kilt at Dragon Con, that shouldn't surprise anybody. Dragon Con is the
that's
one
not
place,
really comment worthy.
Yeah, Dragon Con is the one place I never want to have to find my wife. Because I'll go, "Okay, I'm looking for a woman. She's short. Okay, she's got purple hair. She's wearing a corset." yeah, guy, you're still not narrowing it down.
Yeah.
Any
Still
significant
like
way.
10,000 people.
100 girls. Who are you talking about?
We have 100 of them right over here.
Yeah.
She's
Just
dressed
yell
all in
Rachel
black.
and you'll have
Ren-
100
Ren-
people
Ren-
turn.
Ren has similar fears about. It's like, have you seen my husband? He's got long hair and a beard and wears glasses. Yeah, right. That's-
We got 600 of them over here.
yeah.
Oh man.
One of my favorite memories of Dragon Con was in 2008. It was me, Peter David, Mike Barron, George Takei, and Walter Koenig talking about the presidential election. This was end of August, beginning of September 2008. Sarah Palin had only just a couple weeks ago been picked as John McCain's running mate. And the McCain-Palin campaign hadn't quite turned into the Keystone Cops yet. And what was especially fascinating was basically me and Peter arguing, and the discussion went all over the place. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm talking politics with Mr. Sulu and Mr. Chekhov. This is my life. And at one point, Peter is saying that he was convinced that Barack Obama was not going to win the election because he thought there was no way the American people would elect an African-American president. And I told him, no, he's going to win in a walk. And my argument was that the turnout for the Democratic primaries versus the Republican primaries was much higher. And this was great because I have known Peter David for about 30 years now. No, actually, exactly 30 years now. I first met him in 1990. And in the 30 years that we have known each other, that was the only time, well, not that, but months later, was the only time that Peter actually admitted to being wrong.
So I have a fun Peter David story. I was on a Van Allen Plexico, who's been on the track a bunch.
Good guy.
Invited me to be on a sci-fi and comics panel. So it's Van, it's Christopher Golden, I believe his name was.
Yeah.
And Peter David, and we're all. I'm like the only dude there that is not a published author. So I had imposter syndrome to begin with, and I'm sitting there, and I make the point. I go, the thing is that when you compare like Star Trek and Star Wars is not as sci-fi, and that is when Peter David pounced on me. To tell me all the ways that I was wrong, and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here, and I'm like I'm gonna argue with him in front of all these people, like I was making a nuanced point, but whatever. It's a good memory because I've had a lot of great encounters with him, but I've never been pounced upon before, and I'll always remember that.
Well, I agree with you, Bailey.
Yeah, so do I, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Joe, there's another member that joined the group. I think Ralph needs to be introduced.
It's Ralph.
Oh.
Ralph, what's your favorite joke?
Yeah, Ralph. What's your favorite joke?
We're gonna do this now.
Yes.
Yes. We're
Usually
gonna do this now.
So I should do the joke before I tell the story about the joke.
Yeah.
Who's my victim, Gary?
Jessa.
Jessa?
No.
The death look you're getting right now.
I thought Jessa knew this one.
Felicity then. Felicity.
Okay, pick on Sherman.
Like somebody who's not done it before.
No, it's Felicity. It's Felicity. Felicity's a good term. Felicity. Hi.
Felicity bailed.
I'm Ralph.
I'm not doing. There it is.
Hi, Ralph.
Okay. Ask him if he's a ventriloquist.
Darren, are you a ventriloquist?
No. He's an asshole with a puppet. This is the part where he vibrates for about a minute and a half. Okay. All right, asshole, tell the story. Okay, so anyway, the reason Ralph is making an appearance here is because Gary, he finally admitted recently why, but he delights in making me tell that joke.
Yes.
Just to everybody. Just to everybody.
Anybody you've met, if you meet them for the first time and you have Ralph, I make you do the joke.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I've never gotten away with. Anyway, whatever. Don't tell Gary I love it that he does that. Anyway, so we're standing outside the Classics Track room in the hall, and we're having a conversation, and I've got Ralph with me because he knows how to get through the crowds better than I do at this point. And
this story.
This guy walks.
Story.
This guy walks down the hall, and he comes over and he goes, "Oh, a dragon puppet." And Gary goes, "Ask him what his favorite joke is." And Ralph, of course, does the joke. And then the guy's like, "Oh, he's laughing and everything." He walks off. His handler. I didn't know his handler says, "We got to go." They go, and I was like, "Who the heck was that?" It was Chewbacca.
Oh. Yeah. Yona Suatama.
Yeah. Gary. No, the new Chewbacca. It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Gary made me tell the Ralph's favorite joke to Chewbacca.
Well, at least it wasn't the old Chewbacca that we grew up with.
Well, but I would have recognized Peter Mayhew, but
I know he's 8 feet tall. How could you not?
Well, yeah, but this is the part where I admit I don't remember how to pronounce the guy's name because it's a tough name to pronounce. But yeah,
Jonas Suotamo.
Thank you. There we go. So I was like, who is that? He goes, "Oh, that's Chewbacca."
So I'm really curious as to what Keith is making.
Keith is putting away the leftovers from dinner that have been sitting on the counter since 8 o'clock.
Good for you, Keith.
Lies. Keith is writing a book.
Yeah, he's at the same time.
Keith also has to do the dishes, which are about to take over the kitchen. So I'm probably gonna have to get out of here soon. But
Yeah. This
I can't wait.
That has been going for 2.
Yeah. I think the battery on my laptop's about to die too.
There's
So.
I really want.
Get in the room.
Before we go, I also want to give a huge shout out of thanks both to everybody here, all of our irregulars, but especially Sue, because anybody who's been looking at the events that Joe and I are making for the panels this weekend, Sue has made every single one of those graphics. And I'm incredibly grateful. Those are fantastic.
Yay!
And
I was wondering why they look so good.
Yeah. I just want to make sure Sue gets a special shout out and credit for that because I am eternally grateful.
Thank you. You have been helping me appear occupied at work.
So if anybody needs any graphic design work, by the way.
I don't know about that.
Side hustle.
But guys, we will see you around the virtual zone for the rest of the weekend, I guess.
Yes.
And
I also want to give a shout out to everybody who's been commenting on the Facebook. Unfortunately, we're doing it by Zoom, so we haven't seen your comments.
That's true this time, yeah.
But we will be seeing comments when we StreamYard for all the
I've been
here
seeing
this whole
and
time.
comments.
Did somebody actually watch us for 2 hours and 15 minutes?
Looks
I know of at least 2 people who have been.
20 brave souls in there right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Everyone's in lockdown.
Curtis,
And we're entertaining. If
we
nothing
are.
else, all of us are.
We are a delight.
Yes.
But Curtis Matthews, Rachel, it is so sad not seeing you. You again. You're another one of our strong right arms. Tony Ann Marini, Ryan Schweck, Elizabeth Laney. I'm just throwing names out here because
How many strong right arms do you have?
I'm an
arms do we have?
Look, my nickname is Sneezy. Okay. My nickname is Sneezy. I've got at least with a lot of suckers.
But we will see you guys.
Joe really wants to leave. Joe is done.
His biscuits are burning.
My biscuits are burnt. but we've taped a bunch of stuff, and we're going to do a bunch of stuff live throughout the whole weekend. Go check out the virtual dealers room and buy things from.
Yes.
Including
you can buy my books at Bard's Tower.
Are you there, Keith, on the virtual thing?
I'm not, but Bard's Tower is, and they will have.
Bard's Tower.
They will have some of my books there. So.
Cool.
Buy Keith's books. Buy Keith's books.
Thank you. Yes, what he said.
But last time I bought his book, I made him sign it for me.
Yeah.
Do I get guarantees of that this time?
I believe at Bard's Tower he's got book plates. So when you buy a book, he will send us the book plate. We will autograph it. We'll shove it in the book, and then you get an autograph. So,
nice.
Or you can do what I did and just give the book to your roommate who's going to a convention where Keith is at, and say, "Hey, tell Keith his butt needs to sign this."
Or harassment Dragon Con 2021.
Or you can send it to me.
And in fact, Bethany, I did sign the book with my butt.
Yeah, I know. Because my parents are currently reading the Joe Ledger. My parents are currently going through the different Joe Ledger stuff, and I gave them that book, and I'm just literally waiting for the day where they get to your story, and Mom goes, "Okay, so there's a story behind this," and I'm like, "Yeah, the story was I told Allison to tell Keith to have his butt sign it."
Yes.
Why does it smell so weird?
It's been 3 years. The smell is mostly dissipated by now. So.
Why does it smell so weird? The end. Good night.
Welcome to
Where do you go
Mekon.
from there?
Welcome to Mekon.
I was gonna say, and come back.
Why does this smell so weird?
Mekon.
Yeah, come back for further panels, and maybe we'll revisit that. Why does it smell so weird?
If nothing else, come watch to Riverdale and back because it'll be,
true.
Oh, we're doing that twice.
Kevin,
Yeah.
the absurdly early 7 a.m. panel that I am doing, one of my special guests is my mother, and promised to tell some of the stories she teased you with but didn't tell you.
Yes, I did a panel with your mom. It was awesome.
Yes.
Great.
That sounds like a story all on its own.
Oh man,
honestly, throughout the weekend we're gonna have
I had the best time watching them do the panel because it's him, it's Kevin, it's Joe, it's Gary, and my mom talking about cartoon moms, and I'm just sitting here just like, there's not enough popcorn in the world, guys. This is
Yeah.
Your mother is a delight.
Yes, but I think Gary has met Mom before and has hung out with Mom. Joe has met her once, and then Kevin hadn't met her at all. So I was just like, this is perfect. This is great.
I had no idea that you even had a mother. I was shocked.
Yeah, I know, right? Yes, to see exactly how far I did not fall from that tree. But yes, Mom will be on there, and she'll be telling some of the stories she kept teasing you guys with.
All right.
So that is the hook to get you up at like, oh shit, 30 on Sunday morning.
But I love you guys. We will see you guys very, very soon.
Yes.
Bye. Peace out.
Bye.